It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That was a happy little number known as Bottle Broken Rape. That's brand new stuff from CRYPT of the Devil, the new one from 6 Feet Under. And on the phone right now, we have the legend himself, the leader of 6 Feet Under, and the inventor of death metal, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Chris Barnes. Chris, how are you, man?
Hey, doing good, Chris. How you doing? That was actually broken bottle rape. You kind of got dyslexic on it.
Oh, I'm reading it wrong. Maybe as I was just fearing that it could happen to me, I guess.
Well, let's not hope it. Let's hope it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, exactly, man. Well, Chris, I got to tell you, man, and I've been talking to you for many, many years, and it seems like every time you do a new record, you keep the core elements of what you're known for, but you bring something different to the table. This time is no exception. CRYPT of the Devil, very solid record, very stereotypical 6 Feet Under in every way, except for the fact that you worked with a completely different set of guys.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it just depends on how you absorb it all. You know, it's,
right.
It's definitely. I do try to make it interesting for myself each time, and try to get the best out of myself and do my best work. So lately, I've chosen to work with other people just to do that.
Sure. Now, I know you toured with the guys from Cannabis Corpse, who you worked with on this record as far as collaborating in the writing and the recording and whatnot. What made you decide to actually change everything up and work with them specifically?
Well, I worked with Phil on the Cannabis Corpse song on their last album, and after we were done with that, and we had such a good time working together, and he just approached me with a bunch of songs, saying, "Hey, these songs, I think they'd be really, really good for the next album, and just give them a listen and let me know what you think about them." And I was blown away. I thought it was exactly what he thought. Like they were going to be really good songs for the next album, and we just worked them out, and I started writing to them, and pretty much here we are.
Sure. Now, was the process itself different? Because, and the reason I would think it might be is because those guys obviously have their own way of recording. You certainly have been the leader of what you've been doing, all the way back since the earliest of the Cannibal Corpse days. So was the process itself of recording the record different than what you've experienced in the past?
No, the process was pretty much the same as the last couple albums because, everyone kind of has their own studio now, and like on the last couple albums, everyone kind of recorded their own thing at their own spot. And same with this. Phil recorded all his stuff in Virginia with all the guys there, and I recorded my vocals out here in Seattle. And it's kind of how things are done now. It's a little less expensive, and you really don't have to all be at the studio at the same time to get things done as far as recording and that.
Right. Do you feel like for you personally that works okay? Because I know for some musicians, for some people, they love that feeling of getting everybody in the room, and they feel most creative when everybody's together. But it sounds kind of like you feel okay with creating with nobody around and then bringing it to the table.
Oh, as far as writing music goes, well, I just let the guys that I work with kind of just do their own thing, man. It's like I don't want to mess the recipe. I just kind of, add the final seasoning on top of it. I'm not the guy cooking it up, so I just follow, what's laid out for me, and then just write my lyrics to the stuff that's already been completed, the music that's done.
Sure. Now, Chris, since you formed 6 Feet Under and literally through every single release so far, there's always been that sense of groove and sort of melody that goes on with it that you never really did, in the early days before you formed 6 Feet Under. Does that kind of indicate that you were never a real fan of that bludgeoning death metal style, that you're more of a fan of a more melodic I mean, certainly heavy. I mean, I'm certainly not saying that what you're doing is not heavy, but
no, I don't really think that I don't look at it that way. I mean, I don't really see us as groovy or anything like that, but I guess it just depends on how you look at it. Yeah, I mean, as far as like really rhythmic parts like we do, there's all sorts of stuff like that layered into the Cannibal Corpse stuff, like, you know, Stripped, Raped, and Strangled, Born in a Casket, even going back to that stuff, Covered in Sores. You know, so there's what I liked about the Corpse stuff back then were those rhythmic parts and those middle parts that we used to do. It used to really whip the crowds up into a frenzy live. So with 6 Feet, when we first started writing, I heard a lot of those, you know, those middle parts, those real kind of sludgy, slow, kind of rhythmic parts that were syncopated against the beat. So, and that was what really drew me to the idea, like, man, we can kind of work with that more, you know, and just and kind of reverse it a little bit and have fun with it like that.
Sure.
In the writing, yeah.
Definitely. And at the same time, you kept the same storytelling aspect to it, you know, as far as the deep, dark, macabre, you know, serial killer's eyes type of a story. You know, as you've progressed, you know, you keep having to come up with new and different stories. And I know I've read and I know I've talked to you before about how you kind of reach out and pay attention to what goes on with different serial killers and whatnot. Do you find yourself now having to work harder since you've told so many stories at this point, you know, to find new stories and new avenues to tell?
No, not at all. I mean, I really write from my own imagination. I mean, it's not like I'm looking at a serial killer show on TV and just writing about that or something.
Sure.
I just really delve into my own imagination with where the music takes me, and I try to accommodate each song with the vocal tone, the lyrical presentation, the attack and the vocal presentation, like I said. I let the song itself really drive me and drive my lyrics and storytelling and all that. And that's kind of where I start my my process of writing from my side of things. And so each song I get is different, and that's why I sing differently on each song. That's why each kind of album has a different vibe vocally for me, you know. So that's really how I work. I don't really set out to do one thing all the time or anything like that.
Okay. Now with Crypt of the Devil, like you were saying, it does have different elements and it does have different features to it. You know, as far as stylistically from you, what did you do this time that you felt you did not do with the last two records?
Oh, I don't know. I don't look at things like you guys in the press do.
Okay.
I don't really critique myself on those levels. You know, I don't like look at myself like you look at people and say, oh, he's overrated or he sang good on this album. You know, I don't know why he's doing that. It just doesn't. I just follow the songs and do what I think sounds the best.